Oh, hello there. How are you? How is 2022 treating you so far? It's treating me pretty good so far, pretty good. I'm quite happy with 2022. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this year because I've been thinking a lot about 2022. I've been thinking a lot about what my intentions are for the year, how I want to feel this year, how I want to do my creative work this year, what kind of creative work I want to do. And I know that a lot of creatives are thinking about the same thing. I've been talking about it with my members in my membership community. I've been talking about it with my clients, coaching clients, and over on Instagram. And so I thought we would dive into it a little bit today. So I want to talk about our visions for our creative lives, for our creative work, and this period that we're in now in the start of the year when we're thinking about, okay, what do I want from this year in my creative journey? And so I want to start by talking about losing your vision, because that's what happened to me back in November. So back in November, I was coming out of this period of intense creative focus. I had done 6 months of running my business full-time, first time I'd done that, and I decided to quit my job and continue. And I had then worked on my new membership community that I launched in November. And so I was coming out of this period of very focused creativity. I had had my head down on the projects I've been working on, and yeah, I had done a lot of good work. I was happy with my creative work. But then I came to this point where I had been so face down and so focused, and suddenly the membership was launched and I suddenly felt a little bit lost. I was very happy to have the membership up and running, and it's been the best thing ever. It's been an absolute joy to see the community come together and to see all the wonderful creatives in there and get to know them better. But I also felt like I had lost my vision a little bit. I had been so face down in my creative work, and now that I looked up and stepped back again, I couldn't find my vision again. I didn't know where it had went. And I think that this happens every now and then for all creatives. That sometimes we are in this period when we are doing the work, or maybe we aren't doing the work and we're stepping away from it. And when we come back and look for a vision again, we just can't find it. And that's what happened to me in November. And in this period, I was also feeling quite creatively depleted. I had emptied out all my creativity. And so I was drifting in this period of trying to find rest, trying to recover in my, build up my creativity again and find my vision again. And so this period was also a time in the year. It was the end, it was November, and then it turned into December. And it was this time of year when we do end of the year reflections. And so that's what I dove into, to think about the year that I had been through, all the things I'd done in my creative life, and think about, what actually had happened, and from that find a path forward again. So I dove into end of the year reflections. I took a little trip to a small town called Sigtuna. Old small town here in the outskirts of Stockholm. And I took my end of the year reflections there, and I sat in a cafe and I did my end of the year reflections, and there was ice, it was winter, the lights were on, I sat in front of a little fire, and it was so nice. And I dove into what this year has meant to me. And this year has been such a big year for me. At the beginning of it, I was just doing my creative work as a hobby, and then in April I went full-time with it. And that has dominated the year for me, trying to figure out how to run a business full time and finding my feet in that. And so that's definitely what the year was about. But it has changed me as well. I've changed as a person. And I realized that since this had been such a big year and things had changed so much for me in this year, my vision had become a little bit outdated. So the vision I had for my creative life and my creative work, I built that mainly before I went full time. And having worked in my business now for 9 months, something like that, things have changed, things have shifted, not in a big and obvious way, but in small ways in how I experience my creative work. My sort of vision for my creative work is shifting just ever so slightly, and that makes the old vision a little bit outdated. And so from this end of the year reflections, I decided to take the holiday season, the Christmas, a little bit over 2 weeks, completely off from all creativity. And so I had a really restful couple of weeks when I just hung out with family and read and watched Netflix and went for walks, and it was very, very restful. And I took a step back from everything. I had Instagram and all of those things blocked on my phone, so I wasn't in on Instagram anything during this period. And I always think a break like this can be so good, so restorative, and it was. And so we came to January and the start of 2022, and I started by diving into my intentions for this year. I had a word that had come to me already in November when I was feeling a little bit lost, and that word was nurture. And I chose this word for 2022 as my guiding word for the year because I really want to nurture. 2021 was very much for me in my creative work about establishing a new foundation for what my personal life and what my creative work look like, what my business will look like. And in 2022, I really want to nurture that foundation, build upon that and strengthen it. And so I want to focus a little bit less on the big frame of things and a little bit more on, okay, how do I want to do things? How do I want to feel in different things? And my vision, both for the big thing, but also in the details, exactly more how my direction will look within all of these things that I'm doing. So that's how I went into 2022. I sat down with my plans for the year and I chose 2 goals. So for my creative business, for my coaching membership, those kind of things, I chose that I want to nourish my creative business and nourish myself as its owner. Because that's also what I found back in November, that I had become creatively depleted after having worked so long, and I needed to nourish myself as creative as well. And that's something I want to remember in 2022, to take time to nourish my creativity and nourish myself as a business owner so I can run my business in the best way. And also to nourish the business and give it what it needs to be what I want it to be to get to that point. So that's what I want for my creative business. And part of that is also going to be to keep developing that vision. And I set another goal. And this, I didn't have a goal like this in 2021. And now over the Christmas period, I realized more and more that there was one thing I really, really wanted. And that was to write. I've always loved to write. It has been my way into creativity. It was the first craft I fell in love with. It's always been the strongest craft for me. It's by my creative origin. And writing has always been very important to me on a personal identity level. So in 2021, focusing on my business, I didn't do a whole lot at all on my personal writing, working on my novel manuscript. And so I chose a goal for 2022 to cultivate a life of writing and to focus on the 5th draft of my novel. So those of you who know me and have been with me, you know that this is a draft. The last draft was with publishers. I got some feedback, no acceptance letters. And so now I am taking that feedback and writing a new draft. And that's the main writing project that I will focus on in 2022. And with that, I really want to take time and make time for writing alongside my business things. So I've started this year by having weekly days when I'm just working on a novel. And those days are very important to me. So I'm making sure to prioritize them. And that is, yeah, it's very, very important for me. So during this period of reflection that winter is a season of reflection. And I've been diving into all sorts of reflections. I have been thinking about my vision for my creative life and my creative work, and I don't have a full vision of it yet. I know that it's still in development, but I am thinking about it and I am forming something that is slightly different than it has been before. There are no major changes, I think. Definitely no changes for the foundation, but yeah. I'm thinking about it. I know that writing is very important to me. And one thing that keeps coming back to me is that I want more life and less lifestyle. I am tired of the very inspirational, glossy lifestyle things. Those are not interesting to me anymore. I'm interested in conversation. I'm interested in realness. I'm interested in concepts and ideas and conversations around living a creative life. So, yeah, all to say that my creative vision is in development, and I think it's because things are changing a bit. My perspective is changing, my ideas are changing now that I'm working full time with my creative work, which is completely expected and normal. And I want to say that your creative vision, if you have one, if it's changing, if you feel lost in it, if you haven't found yours, this is a process. To have a creative vision, to establish a creative vision, to change your creative vision, it's a process. I work with so many creatives on their creative vision when they are trying to form a creative vision, when they are, whether it's in a project, for a specific project, the vision you have for a project, or if it's your whole creative life, what you want in it, how you want to work, what kind of things you want to work with. All of those things are things that I work very often with my creatives that I coach and in my membership as well. And everyone finds this process messy and confusing. If you find the vision part a little bit confusing, overwhelming, if you're not sure, just know that everyone feels like this. It's, yeah. When you're developing a vision, whether it's an idea for a project or if it's your creative identity, what kind of work you want to do, or your creative style, or what kind of creative life you want to live, just know that this is a process that takes time. This isn't something that arrives fully formed or that is crystal clear. It is something that is ever changing, ever evolving, and sometimes there are bigger shifts coming from somewhere, and sometimes if you're forming it for the first time, it's a process that takes time, and we need to allow it to take time. Whenever we are trying to rush through this process, we tend to end up with conclusions that last for a while, but they don't last that long. So I am trying to, for myself, also take time with this and see what things stick over time. So this thing with I want more life, less lifestyle, that is something that has kept coming back through different seasons, because I tend to be inspired by different things in different seasons. And this is something that is it arrived to me in autumn, it's still here in winter, and I think it's going to be with me in spring as well. So take time with your visions, whether for projects or for your whole creative life, but also actually work on them. Because I think that sometimes we think that if we just wait and if we just wait and don't do anything, there will come a point when we just know. And that might not happen. We might have to actually do the work of diving into it and digging deeper into it and asking ourselves these questions to actually dig up the answers. But if you're feeling a little bit of an itch, if you're feeling like something is a little bit off, if something that was your vision before for the project or for your creative life, if that doesn't quite feel right anymore, if there's something that is a little bit off, you're drawn a little bit in a different direction, listen to that feeling, because it's there for some kind of reason. It might not be the most obvious reason. Sometimes we jump to one conclusion quickly and say, okay, maybe this is what's wrong. But sometimes we also have to keep digging at it and keep asking ourselves, okay, so what is this about? Why am I not feeling 100% in this? Because it might be something that is a little bit unintuitive. So, like I said, this is a messy process, something I work with a lot of clients with, and we will go in one direction for a while and then we'll realize, okay, maybe it's a little bit different. So there is no way to do this process very neat and straightforward. You just have to explore different things, and in that exploration you will figure things out and you will find different things that will help you actually narrow down, okay, what is this about? What is my vision? What I want my vision to be. So if you're doing this, if you feel lost in your vision, feel like you have lost it, or you don't really have a vision, or it's changing, I would recommend you to ask yourself questions about this. So ask yourself, what is the inspiration that keeps coming back to you? Try to take note of those things. Like with my okay, I want more life, less lifestyle. That is a guiding light because it keeps coming back to me. Look for those things. What are the things that you are recurringly feeling, oh right, this is so inspiring, this is what I want? Take note of them because they are signs of something. And I also want you to try to think outside of what your current experience is. So this is what makes changes in vision difficult, because if we are doing creative work in one way, maybe it's a project you've started out doing one way, we very quickly put ourselves in, okay, here's the box. This is my box. I can own this box. I can feel comfortable in this box. But when the box doesn't feel quite right anymore, when we feel like, it's a little bit too small, we are outgrowing it, we want to move the box maybe. It's difficult for us because we've already put ourselves in one box and it's hard to think outside of that. But I would encourage you to try to, think, if I started over from scratch, if I hadn't done anything, what would I do? That can be a very illuminating question. Or if I couldn't do what I've been doing, what would I do instead? Those kind of questions can be really eye-opening for what kind of things are really inspiring and interesting you at the moment. And I would also encourage you to think about what is most important to you. It can be a craft, it can be how you want your creativity to make you feel. What is most important to you in your creative work, in your creative life, with creativity in general? What do you want from it? What do you want to do with it? So that's the thing that is guiding me to actually make writing a priority. I know that writing is so important to me, and it's important that my priorities, my goals reflect that. So I'm actually taking time to write this year, even if I'm building a business, even if I'm growing and doing things, and I need to do marketing and all of those things, beside everything else, I need to write. For me to feel good, to feel inspired and energized in my creativity, and to actually do the creative work that I want to do, I need to write. And so I want you to ask yourself, what is important to you in your creative life? So I really hope that you take the time to think about these questions during winter, because winter is not a time for everything to happen. The world have a tendency to make us think that we need to reach our goals in January, or we need to start everything. Take for example the exercising. Okay, if we haven't started a new exercise routine in January, what's even the point? But what if instead of thinking that we need to start everything in January, we can think, okay, how can I lay the foundation for this to happen during this year? So instead of starting the exercise routine in January, maybe you research exercise routines, or you think about what you want from exercising, how you want to build your health this year. And so during the year, you at some point establish a habit around exercising. Wouldn't that be a more sustainable way of viewing January and winter? I sure think so. And what I'm seeing from all creatives I work with is that winter is a time to think about these things, but it's not a time to make everything happen. So I hope you're having a good January. I hope you're having a good winter, and that you take time to think about what you want from your creative life. That's all that I wanted to talk about today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Give this video a little like if you did. If you are new here, hello and welcome. You can subscribe down below. And if you're interested in finding out more about the work that I do, you'll find links down below. I have written a end of the year reflection blog post and a start of the year goals, vision, intentions blog post that you'll find below, and also links to my one-to-one creative coaching and my membership community, Companions in Creativity. So I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!